Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now you guys know that I like to find things at the local recycling centre, PC parts. It's not something anyone can do. You can't just walk down there and start digging through the rubbish bins or anything like that. But sometimes I'm down there, I'm throwing away an old beaten up PC case or something like that. Well, sometimes I come across some pretty interesting finds. I've asked before to take things away that I've seen, they've said no. Sometimes they say go for it. It all depends on who's down there at the time, but you can't just walk in and take anything you like. Anyway, on to today's story, and this Fujitsu PC was found in the scrap metal bin down at the local recycling centre. A funny story actually. The local one is closed this week, so I had to go to the next local one, and if I hadn't have done that, then I wouldn't have found this interesting looking machine. It seems someone's had a field day with the rose gold sparkly spray paint here, but after noticing that there were some components inside, well, I decided to take it home, ask permission of course, and see if this thing still switches on, because it is honestly amazing at what some people throw away. We found a PC before, I believe. We found a graphics card at the local dump as well, and that actually worked, which was quite surprising. But yeah, I've learned not to be surprised these days from things that I find on my travels. So the first thing I did was crack this machine open, take the rose gold lid off the top. Everything looks to be in order in here. This is a small form factor Fujitsu machine. It's got a pretty good looking stock cooler on it, a single stick of RAM, a DVD drive, and from the looks of things, it seems as though the hard drive is still in here as well. The SATA cables are all still connected to the motherboard, and I cannot stress this enough, but if you are throwing away or want to get rid of a PC and you don't want to sell it for whatever reason, always take the hard drive out. In fact, try and avoid throwing a whole PC in the scrap metal bin at your local tip, because yeah, it just doesn't make much sense to me. You could probably get a little bit of money on a local Facebook selling site, or any local selling site for that matter, or you could take it to a proper PC recycling place and they will dispose of any hard drives properly, or just reformat them and sell them on. Yeah, don't throw things away with your hard drive inside. Anyway, this PC, apart from the obvious customization on the top, looks pretty good. It's got a PCI Express slot, which is always a bonus, so there is potential for upgrading, but the main thing here is whether or not it actually works. Now, powering this up first time didn't go so well. As you can see, we had a few issues here. It seems as though the hard drive perhaps could be corrupted or something like that, or at least that's what I thought. Perhaps the system is dying and this was a weird graphical issue. I wasn't sure of the CPU at this point in time, but after restarting the system, well, it seemed to fire up into Windows 10. A clean installation was present, so there were no personal files on there, anything like that, and that I was pretty glad to see, because if you're throwing something away with the hard drive in, it's silly enough, but if you've left all your personal files on it, well, that's even sillier. So we do have a hard drive inside this thing, a 500 gig drive, which is pretty amazing to get for nothing, 4 gigs of RAM, and on closer inspection we have an i3 3220, which is pretty cool because I don't think we've tested a 3rd gen i3 on this channel before, at least not for a long while. Now, the i3 3220 uses integrated Intel HD graphics, which aren't up to much, but I decided to jump into a couple of games anyway, just to put these graphics through their paces, and as you would expect, performance wasn't brilliant. I tested GTA 5, Fortnite and CSGO, all of which had to be significantly reduced visual-wise, that made no sense, all of which had to be reduced in terms of their visual quality in order to actually run smoothly, and the gameplay results still weren't very smooth. The power supply is a 250 watt unit, so we could add a low power GPU in here, a small form factor graphics card, and maybe we'll finish off the paint job as well if I can find some matching paint. But this about does it for this video, because there isn't too much else to say. I wanted to share this because some of the stuff that I find that people throw away is honestly quite surprising, but as I said before, I've learned not to be surprised by what people actually chuck out. I hope you've enjoyed this video then. We'll try and find a graphics card to go with this thing. Maybe we'll give it a different paint job or do some other mods, who knows. But thank you. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.